Hello everyone, this is the Planeswalker Pantheon. My name's Elspeth, and today we are going to be opening up a Core Set 2021 pre-release kit. As with what we did with the Ikoria pre-release kit, we're going to open up, see what's inside, and we are going to build a deck as though we were playing this in a pre-release. So enough about that, let's get cracking to it. Alright. So for those who haven't seen what's inside a pre-release kit, although a lot of you have, I like to go through it anyways. You get a promo. In this case, it's a really sweet foil Glorious Anthem. I hope the camera picks that up. You get, with the Core 21, because it is about good old Teferi, you get a little thing about the history of Teferi and his life, and like the sort of the big events that happen in his life. This is a pre-release promo code that you can use to redeem on Arena. I may use this, show these in other videos because I do have one from earlier. You get a die, and someone at Wizards must have stuffed up because they are not Core 21 dies. I got one from a different pre-release kit from Ixalan, and this is now my second Rakdos die from, I think, War of the Spark. But that's still funny. But you do get a spin down die, usually of the correct set. But that's our pre-release promo there. But the most important bit are 6 packs of the latest set. Now, we'll keep that here because we might use that. Now let's get cracking. I believe, yes, they're done in the Japanese style, so the rare would be in the front. So get your token. You either get a basic land or one of the gain lands from original Khans. Our first rare is Teferi's Aegis Insight. So for 2 and 2 blue, you get in a legendary enchantment. If you would draw a card, except for the first one, you would draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. Got a Cultivate, Thrashing Brontodon, and a Tide Skimmer, which is great in the Flyers deck. And we'll quickly scan through the commons. So, commons, uncommons, and we'll do that. Alright, so I've got the Goblin Wizard, a basic, and a full art Ugin. Okay, that's pretty good. So, Ugin the Spirit Dragon is an 8-mana legendary planeswalker Ugin. It has stars of 7 loyalty. You can +2. Ugin the Spirit Dragon deals 3 damage to any target. You can -X to exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less, that's one or more colors, or you can -10, and basically do a reverse version of Cool Ultimatum, which is you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then you put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Nice. So we've got a Light of Promise, Epitaph Golem, and Tide Skimmer as well. Some commons. It was funny, in a pre-release kit that I sort of just opened off camera because I thought I was going to have some people to do a pre-release at home, I got the showcase version. So I've nearly got my playset of Ugin the Spirit Dragons in some form. Got a Soldier, a Blossoming Sands, got a foil Voldaren Arcanist, and our rare is a Sporeweb Spider. So for 2 and a green, you get a 1/4 creature with reach and hexproof from blue. Whenever Sporeweb Weaver is dealt damage, you can gain 1 life and create a 1/1 green Saproling. Sim doesn't create spiders. Falconer Adept, Unsubstantiate, and Silvermost Ghoul. And some commons. I love this Roaming Ghostlight. It's such a good card in draft. Got a Beastie, Thornwood Falls, And we've got to see the truth. So for 1 and a blue, you get a sorcery. You look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of those into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library. If the spell is cast from anywhere other than your hand, put each of those cards into your hand instead. Interesting. So we've got a Fungal Rebirth, a Bolt Hound, and a Belfast Oak. Some commons there. So good news is whatever we build is going to be nuts because Ugin's in there. Might lean towards blue because See the Truth is pretty decent, but nothing's kind of dragging me over the top one way or the other. Got a Griffin, our island, and we've got a foil Nyambi, esteemed speaker. So for a white and a blue, you get a legendary creature, human cleric. She's a 2/1 with flash. When Nyambi enters the battlefield, you may return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, gain life equal to that creature's converted mana cost. So, and for 1, a white and a blue, tap, discard a legendary card, draw 2. That's pretty interesting, and the foiling looks really nice. Like the whole background kind of just dances a little bit. And we've got Nazusa, Lost But Seeking. Nice. So for 2 and a green, you get a legendary creature, human monk. It's a 1/2. You may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. Cool. So we've got a Furious Rise, a Shipwrecked Dowser, Conclave Mentor, Saber-tooth more. Look at that! In the same pack. 2 of the same commons. I've never seen that happen before. And our last pack before we start to deck build. Swiftwater Cliffs. And our rare is Primal Might. So for X and a green, it's a sorcery. Target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn. Then it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So got a Rewind, Indulging Petition, Twin Blade Assassin. Alright, so that's all the packs there. I'm gonna step away for a bit, start building a bit of a deck, and see what I can come up with. I'll see you in a moment. Hello everyone, and we're back. This is basically the final build of our sealed deck. So let's look into what we've got here. So we don't have any 1-drop creatures, but we do have a couple of 1-drop spells. The first one is Opt. It's just a great card. It allows you to filter, helps you scry, gets you a draw, and replaces itself. You can't ask much more. Then we've got Primal Might. So it's X and a green for a sorcery. It allows you to pump up a creature really big and have it fight. So it's a little bit of removal. In our 2-drops, we have a couple of creatures. Their job is purely just to hold the ground while we sort of move up into our bigger stuff. First of all is Dren Pteranodon, which is a 2-mana 3/3 with Defender. And as long as we control a creature with power 4 or greater, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Some of our creatures can get a little bit bigger. We'll go into that a little bit later. We can prompt them with Primal Might, make this a surprise attacker that they weren't necessarily counting on. Or we'll get into some bigger creatures a little bit more towards this upper end. And Voldaren Arcanist, you can tap it to, it's a 1/3, so to hold the ground down well, and you can tap it to add a colorless for casting instants or sorcerers, which we've got a fair few of. We've also got an Unsubstantiate. So this is kind of a counter spell. It's a bounce spell. You can use it in a few different ways. If something says it can't be countered, you can actually bounce the card on the second, and it actually doesn't count as a counter. So it has a few versatile applications that we can use. Or we can bounce something that we have on the field to save from a bit of removal. In our 3-drops, we've got quite a few things. So first up, we have a Thrashing Bronodon. It's just a big creature on the ground for the mana cost. A 3/4 for 3 is quite large. And also it has the additional sort of utility to naturalize something if we find that there's an enchantment or an artifact that we don't want to have in our presence. We've got 2 copies of Mistral Singer. We always play Windrake, so 3 mana 2/2s with flying, and the fact that there is prowess and we've got a number of non-creature spells makes these quite good for attacking up in the air. We've got a Sporeweb Weaver. I was considering cutting this, but the fact that it can generate a board and go a little bit wider makes it a little bit more worth it, I think. And it's a 1/4 reach, so again, it'll just block on the ground great. It'll block flyers too if they start trying to go up in the air, which is great. Pride Mulligan, so this is one of the ways we can get some of our creatures to hit that 4 power point for a Drowsing Pteranodon. It can put a +1/+1 counter on a creature I already have on play, so I can put it on the Pteranodon and it can start attacking on its own. And it also gives the additional benefit of giving trample to some of my creatures with +1/+1 counters, which we'll get to a little bit later. And we have Llanowar Visionary. So when it comes to play, you're paying it for 3 mana. It comes into play, it will replace itself, and it'll allow us to ramp it. And because we've got some bigger things on the top end, it'll help us bring it down the curve a little bit. In our non-creatures for 3, we have Fungal Rebirth. We do have some very good permanents that we may want to get back. Say someone gets rid of our bigger creatures, or some capture spheres, which I'll mention later. We can use this to rebuy it, and if a creature happens to die, which is great with Sporeweb Weaver, we can create a couple of green saplings and sort of double them up. Got to Cultivate, great ramp, great fixing. I was actually considering the possibility of going into white because there were some things in there, but I figured, try and keep it relatively in line. Cultivate's great for us to bring some of our bigger costing stuff down a step, and because we're playing Ugin, we want to get to that Ugin a little bit quicker than, our exact 8th land drop. Frostbreath, always like one of these in my decks, especially if I'm playing sort of more of a tempo-y sort of move. End of turn, tap down the last 2 creatures, swinging for the win. That's a way that I've won a number of games. Rousing Reed, this card, I'm normally not a big fan of enchantments because of the 2-for-1 blowout potential, but Rousing Reed I've had really good success with. It's a 3-man enchantment. You draw 2 and you discard 1, so it's a little bit of hand filtering. It gives the creature +1/+1 in flying, and because we've got some bigger creatures on the end, we can take advantage of that flying and sort of go over for the win. And because it's an enchantment, and something that we can get back with Fungal Rebirth as well. So if something does happen to our creature that has the Rousing Reed, we can always get the Rousing Reed back. In our 4-drops, we've got a couple of 4-drops. We have a Sabertooth Mauler. So this creature gets bigger for every time a creature dies at the end of the turn, at the end of our end step. So all the saplings from Sporeweb Weaver will grow it. Therefore, it makes it big enough. So Drowsing Pteranodon is a thing, and also because it'll have +1/+1 counters, Pride Mulligan will be giving it trample. Tideskimmer, we've got a number of flyers in the deck, so we will be able to draw some cards. We've got a couple of Minstrel Singers that we talked about earlier, and we've got Roaming Ghostlight a little bit later on the track, and because of Rousing Reed, we can actually give a creature flying to sort of help meet the needs for that. Also, in our 4s, we've got a pair of Capture Spheres. This is Blue's Premium Removal. You always want to play as many of these as humanly possible. Alright, so then we've got a Gnarled Sage. So it's a 4/4, so it'll satisfy Pteranodon if we play it on 5. It has reach, so that's great. So it's basically got giant spider stats. And as long as we've drawn 2 or more cards this turn, which we can very well do between Tideskimmer and the Singers and our Rousing Reeds, it gets +0/+2 and has Vigilance. That bit's just a little bit of gravy. We want the 4/4 reach. It's just a big body, and we can always jump it with the Rousing Reed if we really want to get tricky with it. Roaming Ghostlight. So if you've ever played with Mistraven back in Innistrad, this was basically Mistraven, just as a spirit form. So for 3 and 2 blue, you get a 3/2 flyer. Perfectly fine, and you can return up to 1 target non-spirit creature to its owner's hand. Non-spirit, it doesn't come up that often, including the Ghostlight. I think there's only other 2 spirits from memory that are in there, so it's always guaranteed to hit something. Or at worst, we can always bounce one of our own things. We can bounce back the Llanowar Visionary to redraw the card. We can do a few other tricks. We can bounce our own things if they've got like an enchantment on them, get rid of the enchantment. There's a lot of good little utility there. And finally, we've got a Shipwreck Drowner. This is our last creature. It's a 5-mana 3/3 with prowess, so we've got a lot of non-creature spells, and we can return instants or sorceries from our graveyard to our hand. So we've got things like Fungal Rebirth, we've got Cultivate, so it can ramp more, we've got Frost Breath, we've got Unsubstantiate, and we've got Opt. So they're all very good instants and sorceries that we'd like to bring back. Heck, we've even got Primal Might. We can use Primal Might early to kill something off, and then use the Shipwreck Drowner to act as a final kill. And of course, we could not play this deck and play this sealed pool and not play the Ugin. You play the Ugin, you resolve the Ugin, you win the game. There's no way that your opponents can get out of playing under Ugin. Either they just get ghost fired every turn by plussing it up, or they just lose their board. And we've got a Thornwood Falls here. And a split of, I'd say, more green. Actually, it's almost 50-50 between green and blue for basic lands. And that would be our deck. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.